Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans. From a die-hard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite die-hard Astros fan, podcaster. I'm a writer, producer, overwhelmed person, and creative multi-hyphenate. Of course, I'm a Houston native and I have the receipts to prove it. I've been to Cavender's Boot City. I actually spent time in their city jail. It is a leathery place. I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in LA, and now I am podcasting. This is what happens when you hit 10 years out here. Folks, Carla is already jumping on the pod. She's interrupting my joke-telling cadence, but that's okay. It's not that great. This is what happens when you hit 10 years out here in LA. You foolishly start thinking that hiking is fun, and you're given a podcast. Welcome to said podcast. This is what my brother Jesse calls the Paul Broad Podball blog. Hey, brother, check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience. I started Space Cadet Sports as a passion project because most media is infuriating as a die-hard, long-term fan of the Houston Astros. Here on the podcast, we aren't doom and gloom Houston sports fans, or worse, the national media haters. We love our team and root for them, but we also want to discuss the ins and outs of the team without too much homerism. Keyword try. We try to be reasonable and not too hot-takey or reactionary, or, like yesterday, perhaps a little emotional. And now that football season is here, it's time to talk some Texans as well. We are recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined by my co-host and co-producer, the Raws to my Frasier. Carla the dog is here with me. As you heard earlier, if you saw it, you might have been the delivery driver walking up to the apartment, but most likely you heard this, as this is an audio medium. She gets on mic from time to time. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. Obviously, we know who runs this place. It's Carla. Who runs the place? Carla. Who runs the place? Carla. We know that. Folks, on this episode, it's Paul's Picks, where I get to pick my pick'em picks, and you can follow along this season to see how well I do. This is that moment where I remind you this is not only a sports podcast, this is actually also a comedy podcast, and maybe that comedy mostly comes from my NFL picks, but you can follow along with me this season. You may have heard of Jimmy the Greek. We'll get a load of Paulie the Geek. We're also here for you to talk about your Houston Texans. It's a Texans check-in, I guess, is what I was slipping into there. It's officially football season in Houston as of today. We're also going to visit Dynamo Corner and check in with the WNBA and also announce a very special episode, so stay tuned. Folks, also I want to give a huge g'day, mates, to my fans in Australia. That is right. If you are a first-time listener of this podcast, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I don't know why this is the first one you listen to, but I'm very glad you're here. Maybe you're here because it's finally the first month of NFL season is over, and we're looking at our pigskin pick'em, we're looking at our eliminator pool, our fantasy football, and you're just looking for any help you can get, even if it is from an officially certified clown. But if you are new to the podcast, you might not know that I am kind of a big name in Australia. I don't like to brag, but your boy is on the top 105 of Australia's baseball podcasts. That is right. we are top of the pops, folks. Here, we celebrate every victory. That's what you have to do in this life, in this world that is constantly giving you plenty of reason to be frustrated and angry. You have to celebrate your wins. So we're celebrating being in the top 105 of Australia's baseball podcasts. I bet you can guess exactly how far into that top 105 the podcast is. But this is a call for Australian listeners, folks. I'm ambitious. At first, I just wanted to get into the top 100 of Australia's baseball podcasts. Now, I want to get into the top 100 of Australia's sports podcasts. So if you know any Australians out there, let them know I'm here for them, especially if they are in that Venn diagram of Houston sports fans and Australians. Let them know that I'm here. We want to get there. Folks, it's time to recap our last week. NFL Week 4 was a slightly better week for your boy. Honestly, Week 3 was a tough one. Week 3, I only got 6 wins with my picks. It was tough. It was not looking really good. I had to have a bounce back week here in week 4. I definitely was frustrated. I could not get into the double digit wins. I thought perhaps this was the week. I focused up. I got sharp. I made some good picks, but I was only able to go 9-7 on this week. So the way we're going to do it, the way we've done it all season, is that we recap my losses and then we move ahead to the next week. So we're going back to week 4. I only had 7 losses. Thankfully, this is a shorter segment this time around. My goodness, last week I felt like I talked about my losses for a whole hour. But in this week, week 4, we have the LA Rams at the Chicago Bears. I said this was a stay-away game. I did not like it. I did not feel comfortable picking one of these picks. I did not like the fact that y'all made me pick one of these teams. It was frustrating. I ended up going with the Rams. I went with the underdogs here. Chicago ended up winning this game. Obviously, well, all my notes just went away there. Okay, well, that's fine. I don't need notes. Chicago won 24-18 in this game. I picked the Rams, obviously got that one wrong. The Rams don't have a good defense. The Rams are completely, hobbled with injuries. But I just was not sure about that Chicago Bears team. Caleb Williams does look like he is learning some lessons in the league, and he's needed to learn some lessons. It was a tough start for the Chicago Bears, but it looks like there's some glimmer of hope on the horizon for the Bears. Moving on to my other loss, I picked Pittsburgh to win. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Indy ended up winning that one. Very frustrating as an AFC South fan. They won by 3 points. Pittsburgh just did not have the defense to win this game. Obviously in this game, Anthony Richardson also went out having some, you're going to have some Joe Flacco, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the quarterback position for the Indianapolis Colts, so that does change some things going forward. But I just got that one wrong, folks. I don't know what to say. I didn't believe in the Colts. I felt better about the Steelers coaching and just all around defense. I got it wrong. It's how it goes. Then there was Denver at the New York Jets. The New York Jets completely had a terrible game. They lost to the Denver Broncos. The Jets were favored by 7.5 points at the time of the recording last week when I recorded the podcast. I believe that was last Thursday. Denver just popped them in the mouth. Absolutely hilarious that the end score was 10-9, but there you have it. Denver won the game. I got it wrong. There's nothing I can say about this except that these are both awful teams, and I got it wrong. Moving ahead, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. I got this one wrong as well. This one I got completely wrong. Tampa Bay won 33-16. Just ridiculous. I I don't know. Philadelphia is such a weird team. They're very much being they're bingling it is what they're doing this season. I don't know what to think about the Eagles on a week to week basis. It wildly changes, and how I feel about them is most likely wrong all of the time. But there you have it. I got that one wrong. And then I also got wrong Washington at Arizona. Carla is giving me some serious side eye right now. Washington won 42-14. Yeah. God, I don't even know, guys. I don't know why I believed in Arizona. I started off not believing in Arizona whatsoever, just thinking that they are a fantasy football type offense, not the best type of real football type offense. Then they kind of swayed me in the couple of games there in the middle of this 4-game stretch, and now I am back to not believing in them whatsoever. Washington beat Arizona. If you got that one right, good for you. Call into the show, speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports. Let me know what you knew, why you picked the Commanders there, but they obviously had an amazing game. I also got Buffalo at Baltimore wrong. This one I don't feel quite as bad about. This one was a lot closer of a pick, at least, on paper. Buffalo lost 10-35. Obviously, got it wrong. Did not think it was going to be that big of a point differential in this game, that's for sure. But you know what? I just got it wrong. That one is just one I chalk up to just me. I like that pick still, in retrospect. That's just one you just straight up get wrong and you just move on. You got to believe in Baltimore a little bit more going forward. Know that Buffalo has some holes. Every football team can get beat on Sunday. These were both good teams. I got it wrong. And the last one I got wrong was Tennessee beating Miami 31-12. Good Lord, I really do not believe in the AFC South, that's for sure, but I did not think Tennessee could beat this team that handedly. But there you go. Definitely got those wrongs. I feel like some of those I'm frustrated by it, but for the most part, I don't think any of those picks, like maybe the LA Rams and Chicago Bears pick was I think is the only one that I was like a coin flip on. Didn't feel good about Denver and New York or Pittsburgh and Indy, but I felt I had a feel for them. So that was a pretty good week. I feel like I could have got 10 wins on that week. But I didn't do it, folks. I'm going to try again next week. We're going to try to go for a double-digit win. For the pigskin, for the Paul's pick of the week, I picked San Francisco. Got him, coach, for the first time. Well, not. I believe I got the Paul's pick another time. I think I'm 2 for 2 with Paul's pick. I will have to go back and check that. I did not do the research. I did not get the stats on my own picks here. I will go back and check that out, but I believe I'm 2 for 2 with Paul's pick, so it was good to bounce back. However, Carla's dog of the week was Arizona. Arizona, obviously, was the wrong pick. Carla is not too happy with me. I believe I'm 0 for 4 for Carla's dogs of the week. She's going to have to start picking them going forward, seeing that I'm tarnishing her name. She says I have one more week. And if I cannot figure it out this week, going forward, I have to give her some options for who the underdogs are, and she will pick them. She will pick them herself because I am not doing a good job. Let's go ahead and look forward to NFL Week 5. I have the lines and the over-unders here with me. I got these off of CBS. This is on Thursday afternoon that I am recording this episode. So let's go over the lines, and we're going to make some Paul's picks. We're also going to get a Paul's pick of the week. Going to try to improve that record, and we are going to try our hardest to pick Carla's first dog of the week that actually gets him. All right, folks. So let's see on Thursday tonight. A little bit later, in just a couple of hours, streaming on your digital devices is going to be Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta is favored by 1.5 points. The over-under is 44. They are not giving the home team any love here. It really this is a tough one for me. I feel like the Atlanta Falcons. I forgot where I read it. This is not my take, but the Atlanta Falcons. Somebody was saying that they're either the best worst team or the worst best team, and we really don't know where they are right now. And that's how I feel about Atlanta. I don't know if they're a good or a bad team. But what I do know is that they are a competitive team. They can compete with almost any team in the league, but they definitely, I don't feel confident about them winning those competitions. However, Tampa Bay, I don't know who they are. I don't know if Tampa Bay knows who they are. I do think, you know, I think Tom Brady hates Tampa Bay. Not hates Tampa. I don't think he likes Baker Mayfield very much based off of his announcing. He was announcing that Tampa Bay game the way that I would be announcing a Dodgers game or a New York Yankees game. It's just like, hey man, you're showing a little bit too much there, Brady. But I really think that this game is going to be too close. It's kind of too close to call. I'm going to go with the home team here because I want to get some wins. Honestly, that's what it is. I'm feeling a little frisky. I feel like Tampa Bay could potentially bounce back, kind of have a really good game here and kind of make us wonder, is Tampa Bay good or is Atlanta bad? It is a Thursday game, so there is short rest. I think it is just smart to go with the home team here. So that is what I'm doing in this situation. I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay comes out and scores like 50-something points and wins this game handedly. But I feel like I just have to go with Atlanta here. I think they are a better team. I think they're going to get this game, but like I said, would not be surprised if this is a wonky one. So let's go ahead and go on to Sunday's games. On Sunday, we have a London game. Foggy London town, folks. There, the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings are headed over to get some Earl Grey tea. So Minnesota Vikings are the home team, but obviously this is not a traditional home field advantage situation as both teams are traveling overseas across the pond to London. Minnesota is favored in this game by 2.5 points. The over-under is 40.5. The New York Jets look like a terrible team. Like, truly, I don't know what is going on with the New York Jets. I think that I think that this team is very much that kind of tabloid team. You want to see articles about them and you want to see headlines about them, but it has everything to do with dysfunction and drama and relationships and who's spurning who and who hurt whose feelings. It has very little to do with football. This team is just a walking distraction. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings are a solid team. They might be in that category of like the worst best team. They are an incredible team. They might not exactly have all the talent on paper, but they are completely coached up. They're always scheming. I feel like this is a Minnesota win easily. I feel like them getting 2.5 points is a little wild for me because I feel like that should be higher. I don't trust the Jets. They both are traveling to London, so maybe that is it. It is travel for both teams. I don't know. I'm going with Minnesota and moving on. Then we have the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are favored by 4 points in this game. The over-under is 41.5. I feel like even though these are both two bad teams, in a way, this is almost like a trap game for Chicago. Chicago is kind of feeling themselves. They're thinking Caleb Williams is learning some lessons. He's taking some lumps, but learning lessons and moving forward. Meanwhile, Carolina's offense has woken up again with a new quarterback and Andy Dalton having a veteran presence, passing the ball around, saving my fantasy season perhaps. I have Deontay Johnson on my team, so it's good to see that wide receiver actually be able to receive some passes. I'm not gonna. I don't know enough about Bryce Young. I don't know. I haven't really studied his game, so I'm not over here trying to take shots or being like that guy. That dude is 100% a bust. But I do know the way he is playing football this season was not going to lead to any kind of fantasy football points, if nothing else. So I really think that Chicago should win this game. It could be a little bit of a feisty game for the Carolina Panthers. I don't anticipate them winning, but I think this will be potentially closer than we think. But I am going to go with Chicago here. Then we have Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati they're the home dogs in this team. They're plus 2.5. The over-under is 49.5. I think that Baltimore wins this, but because it is a 2.5 line, I'm kind of nervous. I guess I'm just nervous because whenever I feel certain about a game that involves the Bengals, I'm always wrong. The Bengals are going to Bengals, but I think Baltimore really needs a win. I think they're trying to turn their season around. I think they're going to come correct and play a really tight game. But because I feel so strongly about it, I would not be surprised if the Bengals win this. Moving on to Buffalo at Houston. They're the home dogs in this one, actually. They are given 1.5 points here with the 47.5 over under. The Houston Texans are my team. I love the Houston Texans. I do not think that I can pick them in this game. They have been struggling with penalties. This team has really struggled with penalties. This team has struggled to run the ball. This team has also struggled with some big passing plays. The Buffalo offense passing offense looks strong. We're going to pick Buffalo, and we'll talk about Buffalo and Houston a little bit later in the podcast when we're talking Texans. Moving on to Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is favored here by 3 points. Indianapolis is away at Jacksonville. The over-under is 46 points here for this game. This one is kind of a close one. This one's a tough one for me. I think that Indianapolis maybe should have the edge in this game when it comes to the lines here. So that's kind of surprising for me. I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars could easily be the home dog here. But I think it's, injuries, just both of these teams are just really not impressing too much here. I am actually going to go with Jacksonville to win this game here. I think they can do it. I don't trust Indianapolis, but these are two AFC South teams. I have been betting against them almost always betting against the AFC South teams, I should say, all season long. So this one's a tough one for me. I have to choose an AFC South team. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like they're going to build off of their performance against the Houston Texans and try to get that W at home. Moving on to Miami at New England. New England is favored by 1 point. 1 point. 36.5 is your over-under for this game. This one is truly the stay-away game of the week. I mean, I don't know. This is, truly, this could end in a tie. This could be a tie game. If there is a way in your pigskin pick'em that you can pick tie, maybe pick that. I don't know. It's so confusing. This game is going to be like a 5-3 game with no touchdowns scored. And I'm going to say that New England wins this game on a safety 5-3. I'm calling it right here, right now. Go put that bet in with the sports book. No, don't do that, folks, please. The next game after we are aggressively taking the Patriots is going to be Cleveland at Washington. Washington is favored by 3 points here. We're going with Washington 100%. Washington at home. They've got some swagger. They've got some momentum. They have an offense. Cleveland has just been a miserable team to follow and a miserable football team to boot. I think Washington takes this. The over-under on this game is 43.5, and we're just going to go ahead and keep the train moving. We have the Las Vegas Raiders playing the Denver Broncos next. The Denver Broncos are favored in this game by 2.5 points. That 9-10 win is really getting them some love from the books. 36 is their over-under. I believe that is going to be your lowest over-under of the week. Let me just double check. Yeah, 36. That beats 36.5 by Miami and New England. So if Miami and New England was a game that was won 5-3, this is going to be a game that is won 3-0. I really don't know. Both of these teams are awkward. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I just don't trust the Raiders. I feel like, because they are spiraling a bit. Maybe Denver's taking some momentum here. I'm gonna go with Denver. Moving on, we have Arizona at San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 7.5 points. Over under here is 49.5. You have to go with San Francisco here. At least I have to. You can do whatever you want, please. I'm not telling you have to. I'm going to have to go with San Francisco in this moment. I don't trust Arizona anymore. San Francisco, I do. Just keeping it that simple. Green Bay at the LA Rams. The LA Rams are home dogs here for 3 points. They're given 3 points. The over-under is 48.5. I really don't think the Rams can win this game. I believe Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers figure it out. Green Bay wins this one. Next, we have the New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are favored by 6.5 points. The over-under is 43.5. You go with the Seahawks here. I don't know if I have any confidence in the Giants unless they're playing like the Panthers this season. You go with the Seahawks and you keep that choice easy. The last game on Sunday is going to be Dallas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5 points. I'm going Pittsburgh here. I feel they're angry. They lost their last team. They lost last week's game. I feel like they're going to solidify here and win this one at home against Dallas and make it look easy. The last game of the week is going to be New Orleans at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 5.5 points. The over-under is 43.5. I kind of feel frisky a little bit. I feel like, for some reason, on the road, New Orleans is going to do some magic in Kansas City. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think they maybe make it a little bit closer than we anticipate. Also because Kansas City has found a way to make every game they play and win not feel as dominant, or at least in the in the news and in the box score, that makes it feel not as dominant. I am going to go with Kansas City. But part of me, the New Orleans guy that has been riding New Orleans all season, kind of wants to go New Orleans, but I just don't think that they truly have what it takes to beat Kansas City. I think Kansas City has just been winning games and finding ways to win any way they can, so I'm going to go with Kansas City here. Let's go ahead and look at Paul's pick of the week. Folks, we are going to keep it really simple. We're going with San Fran again for your Paul's pick of the week. I really think that Arizona can't win this game. I think that that's kind of just the easiest choice out of all the games. I mean, Seattle at New York Giants, I feel like is a little bit of a lock too. But I think when you're looking at the talent of the 49ers and the discrepancy between them and the winning that has been done in Arizona. Not exactly the talent there. I think you go with San Francisco and their winning ways. Now is the moment that we have all been waiting for. We are finally trying to get Carla's dog of the week that is going to get her a win on the board, folks. Truly, as we're looking at it here, we really went with some chalk, folks. There weren't a lot of major moves this week. I said that I wanted to win the week. It looks like I'm playing it pretty safe, but also, with some of the matchups here, I feel confident that is the way to play it. So I don't actually have that many dogs to choose from. So Carla, I hate to say it, my little baby dog, but the dog of the week is going to have to be a bird. I know birds aren't always your friends, but it is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens beating the Cincinnati Bengals that's not even a dog either. I'm looking at the You know what? I think I don't know why I thought that Baltimore wasn't favored in this game. Let's go ahead and just double check the picks real quick to see if I'm wrong. I chose Atlanta, who are favored. I chose Minnesota, who's favored. I chose Chicago, they're favored. Baltimore, favored. Buffalo, favored. Jacksonville, favored. New England, favored. Goodness, I'm just going all chalk, rock chalk week. I don't have a true underdog to give, so we're not going to have a dog of the week. I guess if there is a dog of the week, it would be maybe New England because the points are so low. Maybe the point changes and they'll be underdogs at some point, but there's truly, we're not mixing it up too much this week. That wasn't by design. Honestly, for this week, I just sat down and I didn't have any of my picks written out. I just have the lines here, and I'm just going off of instinct. So, I guess we'll just have to see how this week is, and next week maybe I'll prepare a little more. Maybe I'll try to see if I can get it done on Wednesday. So if I can see if there's any dogs on Wednesday and the lines are better on that day. But for this week, we'll have Paul's pick of the week is San Francisco 49ers. Carla's pick of the week is going to be New England because we don't have a dog. All right. Going to go ahead and move on to talk about your Houston Texans, folks. It is officially football season in Houston, Texas. The Texans beat Jacksonville in week 4, but it just did not feel like a particularly inspiring win from your Houston Texans. Let's see, where is it? They finished the game ended 20-24. The Houston Texans just eked out a win there at the end. I'm trying to get back to my notes here. It was a close game. Jacksonville took a lead early. Luckily, though, the Texans played a full game and won it in the 4th. There's a quote from head coach D'Amico Ryans, I should say. The Texans have to get out of the Texans' way. The penalties are truly killing the potential of this team. A lot of the sorry about that, folks. I keep losing my place in my notes. It's been a wild day here. A lot of the potential of this team has been killed by penalties. At the beginning of the season, the power rankings, had the Texans fairly high. The power rankings of the Texans are still very high, but I think just all these penalties are truly killing them. D'Amico Ryans agrees. The running game doesn't look good. The offensive line play at times looks like a comedy of errors. The offensive play calling has been called into the spotlight by just about every single podcaster and talking head imaginable. Bobby Slowick has been a name that I didn't hear very frequently to just constantly hearing all the time nowadays this past month. I think this is still a good team. But obviously, we need Joe Mixon back. We need to make this running game work. And if the offensive line is going to struggle and Cam Akers is going to struggle, we need Mixon back. We need to sharpen up and return to our week one running offense. On the defensive side, we're hoping for some more consistent pressure and improved secondary play with a focus particularly on our safeties. We've talked about corner play. We've definitely had some comments on wanting some sharpening by the cornerbacks. Potentially making sure we're putting the right pressure on the line, making sure we're having the right formation or the right setup on the line of scrimmage for those secondary players that are on the line. But particularly our safety play has been called out as being below average, and that tracks for me as the Texans have struggled with giving up the big play since week one. There were some scary throws last week that were going downfield that missed their targets, but the wide receiver running downfield, did have some separation and was open, and there wasn't the best secondary play happening against Jacksonville. Obviously, when I'm asking for pressure from the defense, that puts men in the box and highlights the safeties and secondary on these passing plays. So, it's kind of tough for me to say that I want pressure, but I also want great safety play. The Texans need to find this balance and get their defense to the next level, and that's kind of what I'm calling for, is they need to find the balance of the right amount of pressure, the right amount of coverage, and to be able to keep the plays in front of their secondary, their safeties. With the offense being impressive but somewhat disappointing on Sunday, the defense is going to need to keep the Buffalo Bills in check. Some technical difficulties there. Truly what happened is Carla needed to go out on a walk. I had to run to get her on a walk really quickly. She is still battling a little bit of that stomach ache thing. Definitely just trying to take care of my baby there. Definitely lost my place, and truly I don't care. She is very important to me, so, whatever. We're moving on. I don't have time to go back and figure out where I was in the record. We are moving forward and embracing the chaos of life. You never know what's going to happen. Things happen, and you have to adjust. The Bills have the second best passing offense per EPA per dropback, and the fifth best passing defense per EPA per drop back. Their rushing defense is bad, but the Texans' rushing offense has been equally bad. And with Mixon and Pierce still not practicing, with Tank Goodell being limited, their rushing options will be very limited. They may not, they have not seemed to have any consistency outside of Joe Mixon. Cam Akers has 29 attempts on the season for 106 yards, 3 first downs, 15 yards is his longest run, which gives him 3.7 yards per attempt and 35.3 yards per game. And that's not exactly going to cut it for our main option at running back in a run-first mentality type offense. I bring up the Bills' passing offense and passing defense because if their passing offense is on fire and their passing defense is shutting down the Houston Texans' passing game, there might not be a lot of options for the Houston Texans to be able to maintain the offensive power of the Buffalo Bills. I'm really hopeful that this is a game that I completely got wrong and that Houston Texans go out there, they put the penalties behind them, they find a way to establish a running game with Cam Akers or Ngubawale or whatever options they have at running back, or Bobby Slowick just kind of finds a way to establish the run that doesn't come off of constantly doing it on first down or doing, trying to be creative there with his play calling sequencing. I'm hoping I'm wrong on this one. I think this is going to be a very tough matchup for the Texans, and it will be a tough game for them, and I am picking them to lose, sadly, in the Pigskin Pick'em for Paul's picks. However, I am very excited about this game. It is a huge test for the Houston Texans. I think the Bills are kind of in that class of the AFC elite. So if the Texans can hang with them, it will be very good for them. If the Texans can beat them, it will establish the Texans as a huge force right now in the season. And the thing I'm most excited about for this game is going to be those new helmets. The Houston Texans will be wearing the H-Town blue helmets for this game. That's going to be the helmet that we all got excited about with that H on it instead of the horns. This is our H-Town blue day. So I am very excited about the looks that the Texans will be serving, if nothing else, in this game. I'm hoping their look on the field for football matches their look on the field for jerseys. We are hoping that the Texans have a great game. Really quickly, we want to wrap up this episode so that we can take care of Carla. So we're going to briefly touch on the things that I said that I was going to talk about. We're visiting Dynamo Corner real quick. The Dynamo beat the New England Revolution 2-1 on October 2nd. They are now 14-9-9 on the season. They are in 5th place in the Western Conference and headed towards the Western Conference playoffs. Midfielder Coco Carrasquilla and defender Eric Svachenko, were both named to the MLS team of the match day for match day 36. Both players have their second selection of the season for being on the team of the match day. Ponce and Sviatchenko scored the 2 goals in the match off of Coco assists. Also of note, midfielder Junior Moreno made his Dynamo debut subbing into the game. Also of note, Ben Foster, the manager for the team, has reminded Houston Dynamo fans and Houstonians on social media that this team needs our energy as they're going to the playoffs and trying to make a huge playoff push. So, seeing that the baseball playoffs are over for Houston, maybe we can hop over the freeway and go to Shell Energy Stadium to provide some non-corporate energy sector energy for the team. Why not? Go check out a game. Get excited about football and scream away some of your frustrations. Just pretend you're watching Ted Lasso or something. The Dynamo have 51 points, which are good for 5th in the West. They have 2 more regular season games left. The next one is going to be this Saturday, October 5th, where they'll be playing St. Louis City. I believe that one is actually in St. Louis. I don't think you can go to that game. Sorry, I don't have it in my notes, but definitely Ben Foster is calling for some noise and Shell Energy for the playoffs. So consider that. Maybe that will be a fun thing for you to do to forget some of your frustrations there. Really quickly, the WNBA semifinals, the Lynx and the Sun are tied 1-1 in the semis, and the Aces and Liberty are in a lopsided event. The Aces are down 2-0. If some of you watch a lot of sports, you've seen all over ESPN the coach for the Aces just saying, it's really hard doing this thing that people want us to do, to three-peat, to maintain excellence, to be this successful in this competitive of a market is really tough. And I think that's something Astros fans need to remember. These Astros have been absolutely incredible. They have given us postseason after postseason after postseason. We have been spoiled by the fact that they have gone to so many ALCSs that we just think that that's something that is easy to do. This isn't easy. Winning in the playoffs is extremely difficult. So, definitely feeling the Aces there, just being like, sometimes you get beat. It just happens. Baseball season has ended early this season. I know, it's weird. I'll check to see next week to see if there's, any baseball games going on or anything happening in MLB news. This week, I am still in mourning. I am still in my emotions. And speaking of, later this week, we will have a special episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast where we will have an Astros 2024 season post-mortem and end of the year award show. That's right, the first annual Paulies are here. At the end of the season, we will give out some awards to the players that have deserved some of these Paulies. We are very excited about the first annual Space Cadet Sports Astros Paulie Awards. So that is coming up later this week. Look forward to that being in your feed. We'll also talk about more NFL picks. Rockets season is picking up. I wanted to surprise you with a little bit of Rockets talk in this podcast, but we need to take care of Carla. We are forging ahead to make sure that I have enough space in my day to take care of my poor little baby girl who just needs a little extra attention, some extra belly rubs right now. So look forward to some Rockets talk on future episodes as well. They have named their preseason roster, so that is out. We are excited about basketball season starting up as well here. And that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. We really appreciate you here as a small podcast. We appreciate every single one of the listeners that we have here. Please, if you would be so kind, smash some buttons for me. Please like, rate, review. Give us a 5-star review wherever you are listening to this podcast on. Subscribe, share, bop it. Pull it, swing it, do whatever you can for the podcast. We are a small podcast. Any extra button you hit for us actually goes a long way to spreading the good word. If you would also be so kind, go ahead and check out that Substack that I have. That is spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can get every article, every meme dump, every podcast for free. You can just sign up to be a subscriber, put your email in the field. You get everything emailed directly to your mailbox for free. Or if you're like me and you like, your phone or your iPad, you like the apps better, you can download the Substack app, search Space Cadet Sports. You see that orange astronaut pop up and you know that is us, and the same thing works there. That's also for free. Every article, every meme dump, and every podcast there. And if you want to support, you can click on that spooky season special and you can support the podcast because we are supported by listeners like you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being one of my supporters and supporting your Houston teams. We appreciate it here. Please share with other H-Town hustlers out there that are having a tough week and they need some love. They need the good news. Spread the good news by spreading my podcast, folks. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos, vamos, Houston.